Happy Black History Month. You thought we wouldn't do an episode, but we're fucking doing it. And we're going to kick it off hard.
We're following the trends.
No, because honestly...
all the big companies do this.
All the big companies do this, and you have to do this.
Yes.
This is what they don't tell you. But honestly,
And
no.
we do everything 110%.
110%.
We give it our all.
We give it our all.
Walmart wants to do Black History Month. We'll do Black History Month that much better, baby. Mm-hmm. Think we won't talk about the 1890s.
No, honestly, no, and I'm glad we're doing this because we talk about Black Israelites, we talk about Islam, we talk about Dr. Yakub.
Black Muslims.
I thought all of this was I thought Black Israelites believed the Dr. Yakub story.
Right.
I thought they were all under one umbrella.
Black Israelites wear this hat.
Yeah. This is actually, I'm really happy for this.
Nation of Islam hat.
This is a beautiful thing. No, because I learned a lot, honestly. This is the first Black History Month. I think we've actually done a lot of research.
This is the first Black History Month since I learned about Martin Luther the King.
Martin Luther King.
I feel like I've learned something about my fellow peoples.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Brethren.
Hell yeah.
And I don't think it's appropriate to wear this hat. I might wear it in March and April.
Yeah, no, we're talking about it. We did research. We spent 2 fucking weeks researching this shit.
It's a nice hat.
It's a nice hat.
I spent $10 on it.
I'm wearing that.
I'm gonna wear the hat.
Okay.
1890s.
Yeah, let's talk about. We're gonna kick it off with Black Israelites,
also known as Black Hebrews or Hebrew Israelites,
which is interesting. Now,
it is interesting.
Is this before we even start? Is this what Charles is?
No,
this is not Charles.
He, I think, would be very upset
to hear this.
To even be lumped it like
he's
Charles
different.
is a man of the Bible. This seems like a lot of picking and choosing of like I like this part over here and I like this part over here.
Okay.
2 different dudes. They're not Jewish despite being Hebrew. That's one thing. And then they actually are very anti-Semitic. They hate Jews especially, probably the most, and then white people in general second. 2 guys both claim to have a vision from God about how black people descend from the biblical Hebrews. And this is...
So like the 12 tribes? Those Hebrews?
I don't even think they... It seems like maybe they reference that, but it's a lot of like...
Hearsay.
Take this sentence from their Bible, take this...
it's a lot of like picking and choosing.
Yeah, and just kind of like... It doesn't seem like it ends up being much of anything. I thought there was going to be a lot more to read about it. Let's put it. And there was a lot of like, it's pretty much dudes being like, yeah.
What are they saying? What's their message? What's their...
White people are evil. Jews are the worst. Black people. I think they kind of have like the history of like, black people invented the telephone.
That's black. Okay, that's that's Black Israelites.
They're the guys on the street like preaching to you, and it's like the white man is the devil. The black man invented the TV and spaceships and the aeroplane.
The aeroplane.
I'm doing a 70s black guy.
Peanut butter.
Because it's an older religion.
Yes. Black Hebrew Israelites. Yes. Okay.
And all those things on the side are like the different organizations, like the different churches, so to speak, throughout the states. But since it's not a church, it's like the different chapters.
These are the dudes screaming on the street.
Yes. In these hats.
Okay.
How could it be cultural appropriation if I'm not trying to appropriate their culture? I just like the hat. I disagree with I disagree with their beliefs. I just want the hat.
Well, you could disagree with people.
I cannot want to fucking lasso a bull and wear a cowboy hat.
Listen, I'm going to say this.
Wrong.
You could say the Nazis are as bad as the Nazis are terrible. That's universally accepted.
6,000 or 6 million terrible. Awful people.
Hugo Boss made their suits, and they're damn nice suits. And that's all I'm going to say.
Who made their tanks?
Volkswagen. BMW. They drive nice shit. Listen, you can hate them all you want. I'll take a Hugo Boss suit.
Oh.
Come on. I'm driving a Volkswagen.
Listen. I
don't agree with the Nazis.
Disgusting people, but they look all right.
They look good. They look good, honestly.
Behind closed doors, God only knows.
Who's making our uniforms? Wrangler? Lee?
Yeah, that we got Brett Favre in the commercials for.
Come on. Dealing with that. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
that was it. That was it on Black Israelites?
Not too much on Black Israelites.
Really?
There's two dudes that just like got people going on it. They're like they had a vision from God. But I find it weird that two people had the same vision. Every other like prophet, they get it out of nowhere, which I mean they're both potential to be snake oil salesmen in either scenario, but like two of them being like, "Oh, you had it too?" Yes, we've all had the vision of I don't know.
Here's a list of Black Hebrew. Kodak Black. He's a Black Hebrew Israelite. Think about that.
Yeah, but I wonder if this list goes into
Kill a Priest.
It's like a Wu-Tang affiliate. But I wonder if this list gets conflated with the thing that Charles is talking about.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Because what is Charles then?
Well, that's getting into that 12 tribe stuff, and that I didn't want to bog down the research with because I knew that stuff we've been trying to get into for a while.
We'll get into that later. Yeah, we got enough shit
on that shit.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
As you were saying,
the
13th
tribe.
We want to figure out like Islam, Black Israelite,
Yakub,
Black Muslim,
Nation of Islam.
There's all these things. So okay, so that's
Black Israelite
or Hebrew Israelite, whatever. Okay, that's the dudes in the street in this hat talking shit.
Perfect.
Now we move to the Nation of Islam.
The Nation of Islam. Let's give a little recap.
This is what Cassius Clay changed to Muhammad Ali. This is Malcolm X. You know, this is Nation of Islam.
Yeah. Now, do you have the overview on that? Like, because I do know who started it. The
Wallace Fard Muhammad in 1930.
Yeah, that's right. And then who took it over? The black dude.
The dude that Ali talks to.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. Muhammad something.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, Elijah Muhammad.
I have to say it like that.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
They believe that the first guy, Wallace Muhammad, is Allah. They think he's Allah, and he is like as a person.
Wallace Muhammad.
That's why this is like I think Islamic or Muslim people Muslim people believe in Islam. I always thought there was another thing I was missing. That's what we're talking about earlier.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So
yeah.
You hear Muslim because they believe Islam.
Nobody says Islamic people.
They say Islamophobe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Should be Muslophobe.
Because the Muslim people.
Muslophobia. I'm Muslophobic. See, that's nice.
Put a muzzle on.
Yeah, put a muzzle on it. Put a muzzle on him.
They believe that Allah came to America to teach the black man.
Allah.
As Wallace Muhammad. Wallace Muhammad's son and Malcolm X both left eventually this Nation of Islam for Sunni Islam, which we'll get into later what that means, but just Islam.
Yeah, because it's Sunni and Shiite.
Are the two big ones.
The two big ones. Okay.
Which Shiite is, in my Iranian research for Zoroastrianism, because that's where that came from, the Shiites are only the dominant side of Islam in two countries, Iran and Yemen.
Wow.
Yemen's popping off lately. Are they not?
Bad. They're fucking shit up in Yemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And I thought we'll get to that in Islam. I
was gonna say every time they find an artifact, there's a war. War breaks out.
I mean, when they're artifacts of great power.
Yeah, when they're fucking
when they're
you find the holy grails,
arcs and grails and spears of destiny.
There's 10 arcs of the covenant. Who knows who the other 4 are? So the Ethiopians probably do have one.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was bullshit. I was like, they don't fucking have it. There's 1. They don't fucking have it.
But now there's 10.
10? Yeah, they probably got one.
I got one.
Probably. But he has one too.
Why is everyone's eyes all fucked up? What the fuck is that? That's not weird anymore?
No, yeah. But we'll get into that when we...
Different episode.
When we start talking about the land of Kush.
Okay, so Wallace Muhammad, he's out here preaching that black people's true history was kept to them during slavery. So that during the time of slavery, things were kind of reshifted around and oh, let's not, because again, it's like that Prussian school where like all the parents died because they were like such a strong, proud race, they would never give in. It's like, okay, just take their kids, we'll teach them, we'll brainwash them at an early age.
Figure it out. That's easy.
Yeah. They'll never know anything different than this.
The orphan trains.
So it's like one generation away. So slavery, you literally just separate their kids and be like, oh yeah, white people invented everything. Even that's their version of it.
Which, like, on paper, could make sense.
Oh, the concept makes sense.
The premise is fine.
It doesn't necessitate that that's what happened.
Yeah. When do they start believing in Yakub?
I think that's just part of the doctrine.
That's just the thing.
That's from the jump. Yeah. Black people are the original race, and from them came brown, yellow, red, and white people. Dr. Yakub is the one responsible.
Yes.
Would you like to step in, Mark?
Yes. So let's talk about this. This is going to be interesting. This is the story of Dr. Yakub and the origin of the white devil. Okay. Now, I'm going to preface something here. I have the whole story. Okay. This is the story. The Nation of Islam picks up like a quarter of the way in. The beginning part, I don't really know where it came from. I heard a lot of people talking about it, but they really didn't give their sources. But shit kind of lined up. And I don't know where they fucking got their shit from. But this is the most complete version I found. So here's how it starts. In the beginning, thousands of years ago, Zach, different alien races came to Earth after their home planet was destroyed, and they created a home in Hollow Earth called Agartha. We've heard about Agartha. There were humans living on Earth. They were the Ebenoid tribe. Ebony. There were no white people yet, okay? They relied on the internal sun and created huge...
Which is interesting because I thought one of the Hollow Earth species were the Aryan things.
Yeah. They were like... that was the...
Ariani or something.
The Emerald Bird story.
Yeah.
Which, this will go into this. I mean... They relied on the internal sun. They made huge civilizations. So now there's huge civilizations inside Hollow Earth. This is this whole story. The Shiuk people. There's a couple of different races down there. This is one of them. The most prominent people are the Shiuk people. They're black people with large heads, incredibly smart, oversized brains. They interacted with the surface.
Jimmy Neutron types.
Exactly. They interacted with the surface people, sometimes regarded as sages and mystics.
Jamal Neutron.
So this is an interesting. Do you remember? You ever see like carvings and they got the big fucking eyes and shit and they got the big heads?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is interesting. So we'll go into these people. You got the royal family. The Shiuk. The leader of the Shiuks is King Fucor. That's his name. King Fucor. He had two brothers, Amo and Yushak. Yushak is jealous and hates the king.
I know where they get their names.
Amo married a surface woman and was banished to the surface. Banishment. I thought this was interesting. Banishment results in becoming mortal like humans because the energy from inner earth prevents aging. That's why they can live really long.
It is crazy that, because like our idea of banishment back in the day, like if you live in a castle or a town or whatever, be like, okay, you're outside the town walls now. That means no protection. That's scary. But imagine you lived inside the earth and that was your protection, and then you were like, yeah, why don't you stay outside of it now, you bitch? Like, stay outside. That must be horrific.
Where the gamma rays get you, where the sun fucking eats you
and where
away.
There's tigers.
Yeah, and fucking massive animals.
Wolves.
I don't think about that, yeah. Well,
I'm sure they have some animal maybe, but like, they don't have fucking grizzly bears.
Yeah, fucking big scary shit down there. There's another type of people called the Sinine people.
The coneheads.
They're also big-headed people, and they got heads shaped like cones. They're ruled by King Lamsa, who has a daughter, Lucina. The birth of a god. There he is.
Looks like Angstrom Levy from Invincible.
Wow, he does. That's really crazy. He does look.
He has a much stronger chin. Much more athletic.
100%. No, honestly, we might need to pull that up later.
In the very brain-shaped skull.
No, that's actually nice.
The birth of a god.
The birth of a god. So this is where Nation of Islam picks up. The beginning part was kind of added. But I watched a couple podcasts and I saw some people talking about it, and they were all talking about it. Like,
well, truthfully, it does seem like a fucking, not to skip to the end, but it does seem like kind of a made up thing. It seemed well intended, maybe, but But if you give it the benefit of the doubt, it seems well-intentioned. Like it was just trying to give black people a leg up and like a good thing to get going. But then what it actually ends up saying like is every other thing in the world is someone trying to take advantage of someone else.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
so when you say it
what's
got
the
added
profit
later, it's like, yeah, they're kind of spinning a yarn.
Yeah. Like, well, let's add this now. Well,
yeah.
It's Hollow Earth. Remember? You guys like that. Let's talk about this.
It's crazy they were on Hollow Earth, though.
That is crazy. That is fucked up, yeah.
But Buddhism talks about Hollow Earth, so maybe they got some.
Well, on that first slide is where it showed Shambhala on the inside.
Right.
Yeah. And this will all be on there. But so let's talk about this. The Shiok people.
We don't do any of it.
No, we're not. Yeah. The Shiok people and the Sanin have a bitter feud. They hate each other, right? With this, Yushak and Princess Lucina have a secret relationship to spite King Fucor. They have a baby on the surface. That baby was the infamous Yakub. So Yakub is half...
born of spite.
Yes, born
on the surface world.
On the surface world. Half Shiok, half Sanin. His head was twice the size of a normal Chinook, or a Sanin, and he had 2 brains. Think about that.
He's from this terrible union.
Yes. Now, what if...
brains.
Here's something to think about. What if that's how they think, like inner relationships work? That you get 2 brains. You get that person, you get that race's brain and this race's brain.
Well, I mean, if it's not a race and it's species,
yeah,
we don't know.
So,
upon
finding out
that a sand shark or something that had sex with a stingray, it's pregnant now. Think about that.
Think about. I got the video.
What the fuck's that thing gonna look like? That's all I'm saying.
I just want to talk about
What's a shark and a stinger are gonna look like. I'm just saying. Got 2 aliens fucking. Maybe they get 2 brains. I don't know. I'm saying it like it's crazy.
Like you're an insane person. Upon finding out, King Fucor killed his brother. Soon, he spared the mother because the mother had a kid. The mom was so heartbroken she killed herself. Yakub is parentless. Yakub lives now with his uncle, Ammo.
What a villainous origin story.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. Yakub lives with his uncle, Ammo, in his house near Mecca.
It's like Voldemort or something.
Yeah. Started school at age 4. He was bullied by the kids in his school for the size of his head. This
is on the surface now.
Is all on the surface. He's only lived on the surface.
And
he's
correct me again.
From the inside.
What are the 2 races he's mixed with? Is it one human and one?
They're both internal.
It was the white aliens.
No, they're both dark skinned,
but just 2 different ones.
2 different ones.
Species though.
Species.
Okay.
Yes, 2 different species of aliens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Chinook.
He just got stranded on the surface
because after King Fucor found out, they banished him because you can't. Because of this.
Okay.
Because of this marriage and everything that happened, you have to stay there.
Right.
You can't come back.
Okay.
So
they can't go out though, right? What do you mean? Like they just put their kid in school? He's got a head twice as big as everyone.
Yeah, I guess so. It's crazy.
They're geniuses though.
Well,
what are they putting a kid in school for?
So think about. Well, I think I don't know if he wanted because Ammo married a normal person. That's why he was banished to begin with years beforehand. So he had the house in Mecca. That's where he was going to. That's where he was born, in that house. That's where he's just going to stay. But yeah, started school at age 4, bullied by the kids. So with the death of his parents, Yakub develops that with being bullied and the death of his parents, he develops a strong hatred for Shiok people, as well as all dark-skinned people.
Self-hating.
At age 6, think about this. At age 6, while playing with magnets, he discovered the law of attraction and repulsion. At age 6. He had the idea to make, quote, an unlike human being made to attract others who could with the knowledge of tricks and lies rule the original black man. That was a quote from Elijah Muhammad's book.
You get the idea from magnets? He was like, what if I had a thing that could make that could never allow those people near it. Wherever it went, they had to stay away. That's such a crazy.
But he discovered the law of attraction and repulsion.
Well, yeah. I mean,
magnets were made.
Not for nothing. If he's a genius, half-breed, he should be able to figure that out.
You'd hope so.
I guess it is all new science because it's surface stuff. It wouldn't be the same stuff as the inside. Yeah. Different stuff going on.
Yeah. So as he's growing up, like any young man does, he finds faith. A man of faith he is. By age 18, Yakub has completed all of his colleges in the nation. And while in college, he created a religion called tricknology. The holy book.
That's when you get all you bitches lined up, and
you get a trick.
You tell them to go trick, and then they bring back a stack of cash for the poppy.
That's called tricknology. And in the book, Tricknology 120 Degrees, you learn about trickonomics. That was his holy book.
Reagan said those would trickle down.
Trickle down effects.
I believe in trickle up economy.
Yeah, I know his white ass.
The money to me. Trigonometry.
Trigonometry.
Trickle up trigonometry.
But
I heard Reagan's wife gave head.
I heard she gave bad.
The best head.
Good head.
Yeah.
You got to think about that. You know, she wasn't political.
She was a Hollywood bitch. She sucked her way to the top.
That's the thing. That's what they don't tell you. You think Reagan's taking, bullshit head? No.
Here's the hottest.
This is Ronald Reagan. This is the American actor Ronald Reagan.
Man was getting pussy thrown at him.
Come on, man.
Top tier.
You crazy?
You think he's gonna settle for
Ronald Reagan? Ron pulls tens.
Listen, he doesn't even have a big enough dick to hit the back of a girl's throat, and yet she's doing something. He's doing something.
No, he's there. But Tricknology, the religion, the holy book, Tricknology, 120 Degrees. He preached whoever joined will soon rule the earth and its people for 6,000 years. This was his promise to the people. The religion soon became very popular with followers growing by the 1,000. The king in Mecca was very intimidated and started persecuting the followers.
And is this an Islamic king?
Yeah. The king not able to contain all the followers, or I guess maybe Babylonian. I don't know, because it was 6,000 years ago, so I'm not sure. The king not able to contain all the followers.
Not Islam, then.
No, not yet. The king, unable to contain all the followers of the religion, decided to make a deal with Yakub. Yakub said, "Let me gain followers and a plan for 20 years, and then I'll."
This picture from?
That's crazy. And then I'll leave and build my tricknology civilization. The king agreed, and after 20 years, Yakub loaded all of his followers on a boat, and they all left.
An arc, one might say.
Look at this fucking route. Stage 2. Stage 2A. With his boat, he had 59,999 followers, plus himself, 60,000. On 100 ships, 600 apiece, Yakub traveled around Africa to the island of Patmos in modern-day Greece. Now think about this. Instead of walking and building a boat on that side, they decided to leave Mecca and fucking go around the entirety of Africa, which is fine because he needed time. On the journey, because I'm sure that would take an eternity, Yakub started stage 2 of his plan by starting his eugenics and breeding program he called grafting.
Breading.
He began having
sprinkling crumbs on him.
Shit, he's like a Hansel and Gretel type.
He's treating them like catfish.
Yeah. He began having kids with the light-skinned women of his followers. As they had kids, he spared the lives of the light-skinned ones, and he threw the dark-skinned ones overboard.
Spartan style.
Think about that. Numbers are falling now. As Yakub's plan was unfolding.
They can't swim.
They can't. Well, yeah, they can. Watch. You'll hear. As Yakub's plan is unfolding, some of his followers learned what he was doing, and many of them lost faith in Yakub. During the journey, Yakub lost 95% of his followers. Many of these followers would jump ship and swim to Africa, spreading the Ebenoid people around Africa, where they remain to this day. They weren't in Africa, Zach.
But I thought he said all the dark-skinned people were making fun of him.
He did, but he needs the dark-skinned people. He needs the light-skinned dark people to breed with.
Right, but who was that? If he's saying these people are just in Africa now, who was making fun of him?
Well, I think he just needed Africa. He just took whoever followed, like whatever followers he can get. He grabbed as many as he can.
No, I understand, but I'm saying this is saying,
these people. I don't know.
You're saying African people weren't in the land. This is how.
This is what it sounds like. Yeah,
but I'm saying who was there making fun of him? That's where he was. Was it not Africa?
Mecca.
Oh, okay. So people are in Mecca. No one's in Africa. He goes around
from what
Africa.
From what it seems like, he goes around Africa. As people are jumping ship, they're creating tribes around Africa.
Gotcha.
And that's how the people spread through Africa. Yeah. So many of these people. So these people are still here. By the time he reached Patmos, he had only 3,000 of his closest followers. Really, just a tight group. Just
of the lightest
skin,
of the fairest,
yes, of the fairest skin people you can imagine. Yakub, now king of Patmos, starts kicking his plan into high gear. A new kingdom he has. He establishes a Planned Parenthood and created birth control to help speed up his process. Not sure how that speeds up the process, but Planned Parenthood, I don't know how birth control does, but Planned Parenthood like teaches people about sex and education and like programs and shit to help birth.
Like the current Planned Parenthood?
He discovered this.
What?
He established, I don't know. This is the thing. It's crazy.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the current one, but he established some sort of Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
And a type of birth control. Now, only lighter skinned followers are allowed to have kids. The darker ones are now executed. That's what happens. When a baby is born and he was too dark, Yakub would poke the baby's head with needles. Then he would throw the baby into the wild for the beasts of the forest.
What was the point of the needles?
And if the beasts don't want him, they just burn him.
What's up with the needles?
It's Yakub. He's checking it out.
You're throwing them to the wolves.
That's what happened. So
that's literally what we were talking about before in Goodfellas. Like, why are you stabbing him if you're going to shoot him?
Yeah, what's going on?
You're throwing him to the wolves. What are you stabbing him
If you're just going to burn him regardless.
Yeah,
why not just start that? So after time, Yakub did this for many years. He dies at the age of 150 years old. His loyal followers carried out his vision, and after 200 years, they developed a red-skinned people called the Rubidoid tribe. After another 200 years, they evolved into a yellow-skinned people called the Citrinoid tribe. And then after another 200 years, Yakub's vision, the people turned into Yakub's vision, a white people called the Albinoid tribe. And that's who we are today. The white devil. This white tribe was inherently wicked and held their father's anger and hatred for black tribes.
Our father being Yakub.
Our father Yakub, yes. We have his hatred.
Burning, bubbling up inside of
burning, just angry people. This new race of white people returned to Mecca, where their father was exiled and started raising havoc and destroying the city. Now, this is interesting. They didn't hop on a boat and go around Africa again. You know what they did? They walked to Mecca. They took a boat to land.
A truly evolved.
And walked to Mecca. A smart people.
Christ.
Think about that.
His birth control worked.
The king.
The pinnacle of thinking.
The king of the land. We're not sure if this is the same king as before. It's not stated. This king would be over 600 years old. At least. The king prepared for this. He already knows this is going to be Yakub's people coming. The king of the land gathered all the white people, stripped them of their clothes, but was so disgusted by their look, he gave them an apron to cover up with. That was just a nice little fun part I thought was added. We're just the whites are so ugly that just I can't. I'm disgusted by your looks naked.
Like we said on an earlier podcast, it would be nuts. You've only ever seen black people, and you see a white person. It'd be jarring.
Yeah, imagine seeing just ginger pubes.
My pale stuff. You're like, you can see my veins and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. White people would then march north to the Caucasus Mountains, where they were sent into the caves and kept there by patrolling soldiers. White people lived in the caves in the Caucasus Mountains for 2,000 years, developing them into beast-like people. They walked around naked and wore animal skin in the winter. They befriended beasts and tamed animals like wolves, turning them into dogs, and they lived with them. This is a fun little thing, I thought. They thought it's crazy. It's just this is kind of tying into why, maybe the Ebenoid people, they don't like dogs. You know what I mean?
Well, dogs don't like them. It's usually.
But they from thousands of years, the whites tamed the wolves. Maybe the wolves kind of know. I don't know.
It's like the natives with horses.
Exactly. No, it's interesting. Yes, exactly. Some of the Albinoid people were tired of being white, and they tried grafting them.
What would black people's animal be? I guess they get lions in Africa. They're allowed lions.
Yeah, like
They
a
don't
lion.
tame them.
Or like a leopard or
But
something.
they have like some type of like understanding with them.
Or a panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's
A
probably...
black panther.
Well, that one good. Yeah, I was going to say that one.
Yeah. Some of the albinoids were tired of being white, and they tried grafting themselves back into black-skinned people.
Been there, brother.
These people became gorillas.
This is saying that humans turned into monkeys, not monkeys into humans.
Which is interesting. To gorillas, they turned into.
It is interesting.
That is interesting. Evil unleashed. One day, a man named Moses was sent to civilize them, and this is the biblical Moses.
Tutmosis.
Tutmoses. This is the
Egypt.
biblical Moses. Moses goes to the Caucasus Mountains, and he tried to lure them out of the caves and give them clothes. He then... Yeah, Moses then realizes they were too beastly and barbaric, so he blew up 300 of them with dynamite. The white people, now angrier than ever, attacked and killed Moses. The whites then rampaged through the land, overthrowing all the black tribes in the land using trichology, and soon taking over the planet, establishing the systems currently now to suppress and exploit the black man, leading to where we are today.
Who was keeping us locked up?
The black tribes.
Of Africa?
Yeah. Or of Mecca and all that area.
Okay.
South of the Caucasus Mountains.
And then Moses
comes,
is a
tries
black
to...
guy.
Yes, Black Moses, I would assume. Came to civilize us. Decided we're barbaric. We can't be tamed. Starts throwing dynamite in the caves. Moses is blowing us up with dynamite. Think about that. We're pissed off. We kill Moses.
Probably an ark.
Well, think about that. He's hopped up on manna. He's fucking coming out. And then, that's what happened. We after emerging from the Caucasus Mountains, we overthrew all the black tribes and using our trichology.
It's funny that we were like beastly and animalistic, and then the second we got out, our like programming of like Yakub was like, remember trichology? And we're like, yes. Did you know about long interest loans? Like,
yes. Did you hear about that? Have you heard of crack cocaine? Boy?
Yeah. Here, does this smell? No.
Yeah. But isn't that interesting? That's Yakub, baby. That's it. That's Nation of Islam. That's it. Now, honestly, think about this. Is that not the dumbest fucking story you've ever heard?
Did you hear anything about
now I like
the
it.
mother plane?
The mother plane?
Yeah.
What's that?
The mother plane was a UFO that... So Ezekiel had a vision, and they say that the vision he describes is the mother plane. And they say that it was built in Japan with $15 billion worth of gold, and it drops bombs that create mountains that balance the earth.
Really?
Let's see that hat.
Really? Where's this from? This is Ezekiel.
Yeah, he had a vision, which a lot of people interpret different, but they interpret it as the mothership. Wow. It should be noted also that this religious group is also like very political.
Extremely political.
And I wonder how much of that is just because it was new. Maybe every religious group starts off as new. I don't fucking know. And it just then turns religious later.
Yeah. Well, isn't that like the difference between a cult and a religion? Is that the founder is dead?
I think so, yeah.
That's what it is or something?
Usually, anyway.
Yeah.
That must have been a crazy hot take, like in the 80s or something.
Oh, bro, I thought, dude, in the 60s, some dude hits a joint for the first time. Hey, man, you
everyone's up in arms about this cult. I tell you what's a cult. The Catholic Church.
Catholic Church, man. That's what it is, man.
Meanwhile, there's a priest that's like, sure, we're a cult. Just don't stop letting us fuck kids. Call us whatever you want.
Call us whatever you want, but like, I need altar boys.
Yeah.
Like that's
as long as that stays in the cult, whatever. Cult,
that's
church.
what I need. That's what I need.
But yeah, it is. I do hate that.
I love a good story. And it's not
No,
it's a fun story. It's fun.
I hate that Ali was like, yes.
Yeah. Because you see some of these people and they're like, wow, like you do believe that, like,
Because he's so goddamn good in so many other... It does make sense why he has some of his race takes that he has.
Yeah.
Where he's just like he didn't... He's considered like a civil rights leader and stuff, which he is, and to a degree. But he's also like... He wasn't really pushing for like integration. He was more for like, yeah, man, you can like sit... He's talking to like a white interviewer guy, and he's like, yeah, man, you can like sit here and talk, and that's fine, but like, I want to go back and be with my people the same way you want to go back and be with your people. And the guy's like, well, I don't really consider it my people. And he's like, okay, well, maybe that's because you don't have community. He's
like, Charles always said. That was Charles always said. He was like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Like I get all that shit. Like we want to integrate and all that shit. But like, in the end of the day, like I would hang out with my people. Like you're not gonna go hang out with a bunch of black dudes. Like, well, I feel you might, and you could. We would, but like,
it's whoever you grew up with. That's your people.
And if like,
oftentimes that's your own color. That's
because that's how like the shit works. Unless like you grew up in like a neighborhood in New York where you
got the Eminem situation,
yeah, or if you're in like Chicago, or Detroit, like,
or you got the suburb swap where now it's one black kid in a white classroom.
Yeah, that I get that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I love that. I love that mad real world. That's real, so
mad real.
It's so. That's the reality show one, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's dude. It's because that idea of like
Chad.
Just that idea of like, yeah, he's right. There is always just one black dude in a house full of white people. And it's like, imagine
the craziest white people you could find.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Sandra, I'm sorry. I don't know how I'm looking at you. Oh, shit, there it is. I seen him do it.
Oh, shit. Did you go into Islam at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go into Islam today. This, I'm excited.
We're going to go into Islam right after I change.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to talk about Islam.
No, honestly, if we're going to talk about Islam, we're going to do it right.
Now I'm ready to talk about the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
Now.
Are we 30 in on hats?
Easily. On the same hat? Yeah. Now.
You got a lot on this. I like it.
Yeah, some of it's just like facts, but some of it is good to talk about. Okay. So, 1610 is considered the founding of this religion. So relatively
which is
new.
Which is the date on our chart.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Which chart? The white one or the pyramid?
The white one.
Oh, okay. I didn't look at that one. I looked at the pyramid. You'd consider people that practice this religion to be Muslims. Black Muslims is
separate.
Nation of Islam.
That's a separate thing
we just talked about. Black Muslims.
So this is that is Muslims probably aren't gonna like Nation of Islam.
That's
because it's interesting that they would use Nation of Islam when it's not really.
Well, it seems like that's what they're trying to just kind of like branch off. It gives them some sense of like, some sense of like authenticity. Like, oh, well, that's a real religion. It's like, yeah, well, you know how there's like Christianity and then there's Catholicism and baptism.
Yeah.
We're like a thing off Islam.
Yeah.
For black people in America.
Okay.
It's like catered to.
I get it.
Again, like we said, benefit of the doubt, maybe they were just trying to do a good thing. It seems like because of Malcolm X and the guy's son leaving, it probably wasn't that. It was probably a snake oil salesman. As lots of things. Fucking, even in Christianity, there's still Joel Osteens and people out there that just crazy. Who's the other guy? That older guy.
That old dude. That fucking.
He's creepier.
Yeah,
he's nuts.
And then we'll fucking like grab a woman's arm and be like, we'll be like, don't ask me these questions. You gotta tighten that bolt. I watch it fall down. I keep watching
this one.
Yeah. That should be good.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Now, Islam translates to submission to the will of God.
Really? Islam? In Arabic.
Submission to the will of God.
Submission to the will of God.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful.
That's what we talk about. Sometimes the churches love, like,
The Bible's a beautiful book.
These scriptures,
No,
they're beautiful.
The Bible's a beautiful book. Islam is beautiful. Like the painting, the architect, it's gorgeous.
Do you know what the 5 pillars of Islam are?
No, I've heard of them though. I've heard
compromise the Islamic oath and creed, which we'll get into, daily prayer, charity, fasting during Ramadan, and pilgrimage to Mecca.
That's the 5 things you have to do as a Muslim.
Charity, big part of it.
This is interesting.
Same as Zoroastrianism. Very big part of both religions is charity.
That's interesting.
Now, sacred book of Islam is the Quran. They also believe in the Torah, Psalms, and Gospels. Those are the other holy books they believe in. So those are all like Judaism and Christianity books.
So they're pulling from that.
They believe those are secondary to the Quran.
We haven't read the Quran yet.
No.
We haven't touched that yet. There is an English translation, right?
Yes.
You'd assume, yeah.
I started to read it and I was like, focus.
With this on hold.
Yes, focus.
Wait till we own.
Because a lot of the information was beautiful.
I want a beautiful book.
A lot of the information is more about like the historical, what happened after Muhammad, but I didn't find a ton about like what they think happens. And I'm wondering if that's just because they're piggybacking off of like those other things I just said, like the Torah.
Do they still believe in like Genesis?
Look up what the Torah is. What books does that include?
The Torah is...
Isn't that the Old Testament?
That's Old Testament.
Yeah, okay. So they got Old Testament and then a couple things from the new one. A couple books.
So they believe in Genesis?
It seems like.
And like Adam and Eve and everything?
I know they believe in those people because they think all those guys like Adam and Noah and Jesus are all prophets. They believe that Muhammad is
the last prophet.
The final prophet.
The final prophet. Yes. Okay. He's the one... You never see Muhammad's face.
You're not allowed to draw him. Or you're not allowed to draw Allah, I think.
Because I always see
I think
it's like a white like sheet over his face.
I don't know if you're
compilation of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible.
Yes.
That's the Torah. Okay.
So Old Testament. And then Psalms and Gospels. They're down with that. They consider those books to be previous revelations that have become distorted by misinterpretation or mistranslation. So it's like, yes, they believe in the Old Testament? Yeah, parts of it, but they think we're like fucking it up. They think we're reading it wrong. Like either So Muslims think that Christians are reading the Old Testament incorrectly. Either by way of mistranslation or interpretation, but yes. Now, the two...
Muslims avoid visual depictions of Muhammad and any other prophet such as Moses or Abraham.
Oh.
That
was the South Park thing, right?
Okay, yeah, so Muslims are against like iconography, I think. That's what it was. And
they are against that, I know.
There's also that's why they break the monuments and shit. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
You're good. 2 main branches, Sunni, Shia.
Yes.
Sunni takes up 85 to 90%.
Sunni Muslims. 10 to 15% are the Shia. Like I said earlier, only countries that they're the dominant side of Islam in, Iran, Yemen. Sunni. Or Shia.
Shia, yes.
Shia.
Now,
do you
want to know what the difference is? Because I always thought
I'm very curious.
Their divide is mostly due to disagreeing over who should have taken over after Muhammad. His father-in-law or his cousin/son-in-law? His father-in-law is who took over, and that's who all the Sunni people believe is right. But the Shia people believe it's the cousin/son-in-law that should have inherited it and taken over. That's what the big dispute is.
Shiite Muslims think
everything's been mishandled since Muhammad. So they agree on all the Muhammad stuff, but post that, there's a split, I believe. Because
are there books after Muhammad?
No, Muhammad's the only one that gets the word from God.
Okay.
He's the last prophet. No one else is getting the word from God.
Okay.
But there's books. I think like the Talmud in Judaism, I think there's a thing like that to the Quran that's like, these are all the people that hung out with Muhammad and talk about what he was doing, what he was up to, and kind of like he never said exactly in the Quran this, but like it can be inferred that he meant this, like by context that we. So there's those books.
I see.
But yeah, when Muhammad dies, it goes to his father-in-law, and the Shiite don't like that. They think it should have gone cousin, son-in-law.
Interesting.
And then
now let me ask you this: does the Quran stop with Muhammad's death,
yes.
or does
the Quran
stops?
is the verbatim word of God?
So then there's
every word in the Quran was spoken
by God.
That's what God said.
Okay. The books after, like the Talmud and stuff like that, those are the extra books after Muhammad that the Shiite people don't believe in.
No, I think everyone believes, but those are the open to interpret. Those are people that hung out.
Okay.
So think about Jesus. He has like all his dudes around him, like his crew.
His apostles.
Yes, that. Muhammad's got his crew with him. He's got the same setup.
Okay.
So all those dudes that live on without him, they are right. Because again, Muhammad also didn't write anything down.
Okay.
He's receiving this word from God, and then he's going around telling people about it. Again, Jesus situation, you know.
The connections are impeccable.
But they're saying, again, I would have always thought they just didn't believe in Jesus. They believed in Muhammad instead.
Yeah.
They fully believe in Jesus, even though like he was the second to last prophet. Muhammad's the last prophet. That's the thing.
That's why I get the fighting, but not really.
Oh, and it wasn't Yemen, it was Oman. I'm sorry.
Oman.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a quick note on how they perceive God. God transcends creation beyond comprehension. You can't wrap your head
That's
around.
why you can't depict him.
You can't wrap your head around it.
Because you can't even... That's interesting.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah. Real quick, which isn't really interesting because on that pyramid that we look at, it shows angels, archangels, angelic beings, and stuff like that. It specifically says they're angels, but they don't have form.
Right.
It's almost like it's like the next step of like like you know how they say like the next like tier whatever civilization, you shed your body and you just live as consciousness. It's almost
because
like that's
third dimensional now.
Whatever your fourth whatever that is, like that's you can take the form of a person to communicate with them, but you can't.
But I wonder if that's not even you taking the form of, maybe that's you projecting yourself down into this dimension.
Exactly.
That's like your little avatar in that world now.
Either that, and that can also play into like how Muhammad, like how God talks to Muhammad, or how...
Because oftentimes
these
people
people
talk to them through angels.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder if these angels, if they're just consciousness, do they just not like go inside you, but like take over and they're like, hey, I'm just going to speak for you for a minute.
Because again, if it's like a vision, and that's like that shit
I can
talk about when it's in dreams. It's because that's when it would be easiest to get it. You're not thinking it. You're passive. You could just kind of...
That's interesting.
And also think about all the muses in history where people just like go to sleep and they wake up and they're like, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get that nudge in your sleep. You're open to shit.
Yeah.
Islam God, Allah, is specifically singular. So yeah, like Christianity has God, but there's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. None of that.
They don't fuck with that.
Allah.
That's it.
That's it.
I like that.
God brought the universe into being to be worshipped. The universe should be like venerated. Like the universe is there to be like fucking like we're in it.
So God created the universe.
This is fucking
so that
you should constantly just being like, I'm so fucking like happy to be.
Wait, so God created the universe for the universe to be worshipped or for him to be worshipped? God wanted,
I believe, a bit of both, because he's like, he transcends the universe. So
interesting.
He wants like his creation to be worshipped, all like as much as himself. You know, like the creator. If you're like an artist, you want people to like your stuff, and you know. I read it as like just kind of the same.
Okay, one and the same. Okay, it's almost like God is the universe.
Angels communicate God's revelations to people, record their every action, and collect their souls when they die. They are created from light or fire, like depending on how you read the translations, light or fire. So again, as you say, energy. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, all prophets, just not the last one. They're all human. No, again, there's no the son compared to the God. Like Jesus is a guy,
a man.
All of these people are mortal. Adam, mortal. Noah, mortal. No, like they're not fucking around with like.
Interesting.
Again, I don't know if they believe.
There's a hard separation between God and like holy family,
yes,
or whatever.
There's God and angels, and then there's people.
People. Okay.
Although, this is why I want to read the Quran, see what if it says it, but it doesn't say, like it says they're mortal and not divine, which is like, okay, well, that could still apply to Adam. Adam isn't divine. He's the son of God technically, but he's also technically the first human. So
yeah,
he is a human.
So that's interesting because when we
he
talk,
did die,
and when we talk
naturally, he lives a long ass time.
Yeah,
he is mortal though.
And when we talk about the holy line or the holy family from like Adam to like Noah or something, like there is like a specific line it follows. Is that the same in Islam, or is that just the prophets now? You just go down the line of prophets.
It just referenced them as that line of prophets. I assumed it kept the same.
So it's probably the same names and on the same tree.
Yeah, I would assume there's the same people in between, and these are the same.
They have Noah?
Important people.
Is there,
Adam, Noah,
myth,
Abraham, Moses, Jesus.
Okay, so everything's legit. Okay, everything's
again. It's the Old Testament. They just think certain things are interpreted or like they didn't get that part right. But again, I
wonder
if the Romans are purposely deciding like skew that this way, and then they're over here like they're not. That's not what that says.
Yeah.
Like the thing we do.
Well, this is interesting now because Islam started when? 610. 610? Yeah. When did Rome start fucking with the Bible and like the Holy Empire?
Look it up.
Right? Like when was here? Let's see when. Also, is Al Qaeda and are these Islamic groups, are these Sunni or Shiite?
I believe
it's Shiite. Is Shiite?
Yeah, I believe Shiites tend to be considered like the extremist ones.
Okay, I gotcha.
Not like across the board, but I think they're.
Okay, I got you.
That's what you hear.
We're not sure. We're not sure though.
I think that's the thing you hear in the news a lot. Is like Fox News will be like the Shiite. Like I think they're pigeonholed as like the bad ones, but
like the Muslim Brotherhood. That's
when I look into the shit. That was the main difference. Is they disagree with who got put in charge after. So I think they've been unhappy with the state of affairs in the Muslim world because they're the minority and pissed off from the jump.
The Council of Nicaea was 325, which I believe that.
But what if they find a Bible that isn't fucked with, like an Ethiopian Bible or something? They find a Bible that's not fucked with and then compare it to these people's Bible.
Yeah, and like this kind of lines up because I think this is, I could be wrong, but I think this is when Rome switches to the Holy Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. And I know like they were fucking with the Bible during like the Flavian rule. Like we talked about that with like Titus and his father. I can't remember. Vespasian or something. I can't remember. But then there's like Flavius Josephus. He was the Jewish, the historian writer that they used to rewrite the Bible and everything.
Because he knew the Jewish stuff too.
Yeah, so I think that was earlier on, but it couldn't have been much earlier. It was probably like 100, maybe 200. And if Islam popped up at 300, that would make sense if they're fucking with shit. And then
because
Islam sparks up
around 0, right?
Jesus is somewhere around there, like
that's
30,
what I'm saying.
Like 30, yeah. So that's interesting that if this line, I mean, we don't fucking know, but if it lines up where Rome starts fucking with the Bible in like the Old Testament and the New Testament, and they're picking out the books, of course, halfway across the world in what they were calling Persia or whatever, sparks Islam. And it's like, no, you guys are fucking it up. Mm-hmm. Like,
It allegedly started in Mecca.
They're closer to that Babylonian shit. The Anunnaki, like all that
Sumerian
stuff. They're closer to all that stuff.
Another thing about the Shiites and the Sunni. So the way it's ran now, there's a caliphate, which is like
a great word. What is that?
It's like like a political office almost. Like it's like, or it's somewhere in between that and like a not royal family, but like just like the thing that's in charge, like office, I would say.
Okay.
The closest thing, yeah. Whoever's in office. So like right after Muhammad, it was that guy, his father-in-law or whatever. And then there's been like 3 more after that. There's been 4 of them after Muhammad, I think, like big caliphates. And
The Holy Roman Empire started 1254. That's my bad.
oh, okay. The 4th one was abolished, the 4th caliphate. The Shiites don't think you can just vote someone in like the Sunnis do. They believe you have to be chosen by God or be from Muhammad's bloodline. So that's why they were so fucked off that they picked his father-in-law. And it's like, which doesn't know, you don't ever go to someone's like older person when someone died. You always go to like their younger, their blood.
But they're also saying that like you should have waited for God to tell you.
Either wait for God to tell you, or at the very least, go with someone that has the blood of the guy God picked. Don't just go and pick your own fucking person. So it's weird because I just assumed I would side with like the 85 to 90%.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And then I'm like, no, I mean, I would.
That makes sense.
I don't mean to be a fucking stickler, but like
we don't know shit.
We don't know shit, but
we
it's
don't
like,
know fucking shit. But then we spent a week researching this shit.
I read. I fucking form.
We haven't read the Quran yet. We're not there yet.
We're not word for word, but
but
reading the generic shit, the general. Another thing about God, everything good or bad has been decreed by God. So that's kind of that like, that's a similar thing in Christianity. It has where
like common law or
just that thing of like, oh, I'm sure it happened for a reason. Even though like when something bad happens, there would be a Christian lady that's like, I'm sure it doesn't seem like it now, but this happened for a reason. You're like, okay.
Or like someone, like a kid dies of cancer and someone's like, well, God wanted them earlier. It's like, well, I fucking wanted them now. Yeah. So, I mean, like, what do you...
My life, so I'm going to go bite a bullet now. They believe in the day of resurrection.
That's interesting.
When everyone dies and then is brought back to life with everyone who has ever died. So everyone who's ever lived comes back and then judged to get to know if they get to go with God or not.
Damn. What are they doing before then? They're just
I think they have I think they have a hell, and then they have a
heaven,
like where the stereotype, like virgins and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
I don't think that was
Sick.
in there. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dude.
Sick, dude.
Fucking awesome.
Fucking A. That's sick.
Dude, I love virgins.
No, dude.
That's so awesome.
Gonna be,
I forgot I was wearing this one.
Tight.
That'll be a good look.
What's the name? I love virgins.
Yeah, we only got a couple more of those left. By 661, Muslims had advanced through Iran, how do you say Levant? Or
the Levant.
Levant, okay. Egypt and North Africa, which I thought it was funny that Egypt is not considered North Africa. As you were saying the other day with the
the
tectonic plate.
Yeah.
Thought it was interesting.
Wow. That's interesting. Maybe it's not because maybe it goes back to what that one guy was saying that we didn't really understand, where it's like if you give Egypt back, you got to give back Israel. Which
could be something to it.
Could be something to it. I actually have a quick question. Is there a leader of Islam, like like a pope?
The caliph, the head of the caliphate.
The head of the caliphate.
That is the
What's
religious,
the caliphate again? I'm sorry.
That's like, it's hard because it's political and religious. So it's something like a pope. It's something like that. That would be a better example, I think, than what I said. Because they're not fully the president. Like Iran has a president. Like every country has a thing.
Yeah, or a leader.
Pope would probably be better, yes. Their pope would be the caliph. That would be a better comparison.
Okay. And is there like a council?
That's the caliphate. That's the...
So that the caliph...
Look up that word. See if it has a good definition. Here. Are you in the thing?
Yeah, because you knew I wouldn't know how to spell it.
I mean, did you have that in your back pocket?
No, I don't know how to spell anything. A political religious state comprising the Muslim community and the lands and people under its domain in the centuries following the death, 632 CE.
So there's been
of the Prophet Muhammad.
And there's been 4 of them. So I think there's like obviously within each caliphate, there's like, people, there's multiple people in charge. I'm not saying there's 4 people that have reigned since then. But it's like each one, I guess, is like a big turnover. Like, because there's that's why it's different from the popes. There's a political aspect of it too. So maybe you're going with like a different direction for this caliphate. And now that, how we go left, right in our elections.
And they have like almost like cardinals, like there's people underneath them, and then there's like...
I assume I didn't super get into the caliphate stuff.
Because do they have...
I looked into it
because there's priests, right? Like a type of priest?
Yeah, I don't know what the word for it is.
Okay.
But yeah, they have like a dude that's in charge at the mosque, like leading it, I imagine.
We should go to a mosque. Leave the hats at home.
We can't wear the hat.
No, but I would love to. Maybe they'll give us...
The second time we go, we get to wear the hat.
When we go for mass...
Yeah, we can't go asking questions in the hat.
No.
We could go...
If they give us a hat...
We put it on thankfully, respectfully.
Thankfully.
Thank you. I have 6 in my car.
No, we should go to a mosque. We should. Honestly. Might as well. We should go there because we should go to a Hindu temple. Figure this shit out, man. Because we're gonna figure this out.
One last note.
We're not so different, you and I.
Do you remember when I said that to you?
And when I said, one more thing, what were you gonna say?
Just similar to the other thing about God, like we were just saying with like Christians do the same thing. The soul is not immortal. Things die and live as God wills them to.
This is beautiful.
It's beautifully written. You can disagree with it, but
you could say it's horseshit, but like, and we'll be the first ones to say it.
Oh yeah.
But I could tell you right now, that's fucking art. That's artful right there.
Save Zoroastrianism for another day.
Yeah, we'll do that another day. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have Gnosticism lined up by then too.
That'd be fun. That's interesting. I'm still looking into Islam.
Start reading the Quran.
I think we got to finish the Bible first.
We got to finish Genesis.
Yeah, we fell off.
There's
like so much though, but you know what it is? It's hard to stay focused on one thing when everything is so crazy.
It's all pouring in.
We're getting the
like
gist. We're getting the gist so far.
Spilling over the sides.
And honestly, if I'm curious if we read the Bible, like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, we go through like the basic shit. If we read the Quran, is it going to be the same?
Or can you just then at that point Google like biggest differences between?
Yes, exactly.
And they're highlighting the.
And then we read the extra books of the Quran.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Same thing with like the Jewish Talmud. Talmud.
I think so. Talmud. Ethiopian Bible, there's not a straight English translation of. You have to go and like you have to like look up what the books of the Ethiopian Bible are and then look up each one of those books.
Yeah, but who knows if they're translated differently, if they're saying them differently.
I want the Ethiopian Bible in English.
Yeah. That's what, like, dude.
Forward by Graham Hancock.
Yeah. Yes. Translated by Graham Hancock. No, that's why, like, I saw this one dude showed a Egyptian Book of the Dead, and I wish all these fucking books were written like this, where it shows the hieroglyphs, and then underneath it shows the English, and it's line by line.
Dude, you'd think I was a fucking, like, mental patient trying to type that into Google and then being like, what? Like, you wanted this coloring book of hieroglyphs? Like, no. You wanted this textbook? Like, not really. Like, just...
No, I want the Book of the Dead in hieroglyphs and in English. How is that not a thing? Show it to me.
They didn't just fucking find the thing. Am I crazy? Like... The History Channel's been making the same show for fucking 30 years about like the Sphinx, the pyramid, sand.
Ancient Aliens has been saying the same thing for 18 seasons.
Yeah, they could have a fucking History Channel bullshit version of it and just print money. Yeah. They don't even have that. So I don't fucking know. Yeah. I gotta take a shit though. That much.
This was a good episode, I
thought
think.
so.
No, this was a good episode, and honestly. We went into it We went into it. It started out a little odd, but I think we finished strong.
I liked it.
No, this was good. And we're on episode 99. Big blowout. Big blowout. And then we're probably going to have to take a little break.
Little break ski.
Little break.
Little break ski.
It's coming out. 101. We're not lying. 101's going to be lit. 101's going to be fucking
You
sick.
don't even understand.
No, 101's going to be crazy. The set's done. Think about that. We got to film those angles. I can film them.
It's done.
The set's done, though. Set's done. And, I'm feeling good about this shit. But, yeah. Hey, we'll see you fuckers next week. Episode 100, baby. Boom!
Yes.